What's up, everybody? Take a sneak peek into my life. I am in Northeast Philly, headed to Roosevelt Boulevard, where I always get a speeding ticket. Today, I am going to try not to get a speeding ticket from their traffic light cameras. So if you've never been on the Roosevelt Boulevard, this is your chance to actually see. So I went over to Tacony-Palmyra Bridge, crossed Harbison Ave, and then I'm headed to Roosevelt Boulevard. You know what I was thinking too? And you guys may not have super Wawas taking over your neighborhoods and squeezing out the mom and pop gas stations. But it is, in my experience, because this is my experience, that Wawa is bringing crummy people. And what I mean by that is people who are homeless, people who are on drugs, empty dope bags all over the place. So you would think that it would be good that Wawa comes to your neighborhood, but you know what? It's not. They're making people stop for convenience and fuel that normally wouldn't stop in your area now. And now for us, we have a super Wawa on the bigger highway systems, like every 3 miles. So if you guys have a Wawa in your hometown, or something else, let me know if you've noticed that. Like years ago, you would never see people begging for money, homeless people hanging out, dope bags all over the place. I just think, even though it's bringing more people to the area, I think it brings more crime and people who you don't want in your area. That's just my belief. So here we go. We're rolling down Roosevelt Boulevard. So you got 3 lanes in the right, 3 lanes in the middle, and 6 lanes on the other side. So this is a huge highway. And typically, we will see people in the middle of the highway begging for money. And this is where I was saying that president doesn't tolerate shit from his people. And this may be good or bad. That women in his country have to keep their face covered, and now they're uprising and rioting and all this stuff and breaking it. And he didn't stop it. He let his police and his officials go out there and kick some ass. And I believe kicking some ass definitely needs to be done. I don't necessarily mean that you need to murder somebody for believing that they shouldn't live this lifestyle anymore. Well, that's the country you were born and raised, and that's the way it is. Move out. Get out of the country. Because in his country, you could wind up dead or in jail. But over here, it's the Wild West with no law. And what I mean by that is you can beg for money on the corners. You can sleep in the highway intersections. You can shoot dope in public. Look in Kensington, in Philadelphia under the L. It's a whole lifestyle of dope addicts. And the police just drive right by like this. Do nothing. Be nothing for them to get a couple buses, scoop all these people up, and arrest them. And then dry them out in jail. We're already paying for it anyway. Bring them into jail and dry them out. Get them off the streets. Stop the robbing, stop the stealing, stop, maybe even the trash that's all over the road. And this is where I say our government systems don't give a shit. They do not care. They let it happen. They let people steal and rob and hurt people. We had that guy that escaped out of prison. The whole world went crazy, and now they're looking for him. That would be a first. And they found them. That would be a first. Like, oh my God, he's so bad. Why wasn't he walking around inside the prison in chains and shackles with somebody monitoring the guys that are that profile of people? Like, he should be on GPS. GPS'd. He should never be out of anyone's sight when you're in jail. That's just my thought. Why wasn't he on complete lockdown? He was free to move about in prison with no shackles or anything on. Like, if you were that worried about this dude getting out and then getting out, the efforts that it took to get him, and what was he doing? Stealing cars, breaking into people's, trespassing. He went out and broke the law everywhere he went. He didn't go out and try and, you know, dig himself in as a tick in society and become something or get a new identity. He went out there and did the same shit that he was probably doing before he went in jail. And only a matter of time before he killed somebody else. You understand? Yeah. He should have been definitely locked down bad. There you go. Exactly what I'm saying. This guy should not be out here in a 6-lane highway with a shopping cart begging for money in this volume of traffic. I, for one, can't stand it in my neighborhoods. Cannot stand it. Can't stand that people are out there robbing and stealing, driving around in stolen vehicles, smoking weed in their cars under the influence, right? It's under the influence now, even if you're driving while intoxicated. And the cops can't do anything about it. They could, but then they don't. Because if you have smell alcohol in your breath, you're getting a DUI charge and a breathalyzer. But if they smell marijuana on you or in you, they don't really have a way to test. Well, the marijuana today is super powerful. It's not like it was in the 70s. Ultimately super powerful. And you ever look at some stoners like, yo, man, what's up? Their eyes are bloodshot. They're exhausted. And then you got the other ones who are, it's like an amphetamine to them. The speedy weed. So, you know, they might be a good driver on the speedy weed, but how does the police know what weed he's on or what pills and what everything else some people are on? Not that that's a bad thing. I'm not a hater, but if you get pulled over, they're not doing shit about that. You could be so fucked up, you could barely even drive. I don't know. A lot of people out driving today. A lot of people out driving today. You wonder how many dead bodies are in there. So I'm off to go pick up a muffler, and I just wanted to give you a for instance, right? So the one supplier that we buy exhaust parts from was $250 cost for a muffler. And some vehicles, I can't use a generic muffler on there because they're just too noisy, and my experience says, hey, you better just pay up for the better muffler. So one vendor was $250, my cost, meaning my cost, and then I need to mark it up and install it to the customer, because that's how we survive. And then another vendor was $100 cost to do the job. So hopefully I don't get a speeding ticket out here and get a $100 speeding ticket on my way to pick up a $100 muffler. 100. So I'm trying to stay low key here and not get a ticket. Because you know what? I've had 4 speeding tickets in Philadelphia from their traffic cams. I don't even know what the speed limit is on this road. I'm looking for a sign. I think it's 45. 6-lane superhighway, right? I'm going to call this a superhighway. And it's 40. 40 miles an hour. And you look, if people are doing it today, you know why? Because Philly's going to send you a ticket. Because I've gotten 4. Mother. You guys see Ford Boss Me's video today about customer supply part, put my starter in, it's a bad starter. He should have paid Ford Boss Me a diagnostic, which he probably refused. Just put my starter in, they put the starter in, and the motor's locked up solid. Why? Overextended oil changes. Sludged, locked up. And then he's MFing Ford Boss Me. And this is like some of the shit that I don't even want to be bothered with. Like, at least if you got paid for diagnosing the car, and he MF'd you on the way out the door because he didn't want to fix it, he's towing it out of there, at least you got paid for it. On top of him supplying his own part and you put it in and it's still fucked up. Like, I get it. Ford Boss Me is doing what he can to make money. Sometimes it's just not even worth it, dude. It's not even worth it. Because he seems like he's in a similar environment I am. and it's a wave, right? It's a wave. We see the people that respect you and don't respect you, and actually really value you and your services and your prices, and then you see the other environment where it's like, fuck you, I don't care, you're wrong, just plug my tire even though there's steel belts coming out of it. That's not what's wrong with my car. My mechanic said. That's why I don't even want to bother with that shit anymore. I mean, you got some thick skin, Ford Boss Me. I've been doing this in the aftermarket since 1991, and it's been its worst right now. It's been the worst in the aftermarket, in my opinion, current. And based on what you're showing me and displaying me in your videos, and I value everything that you say and do. Don't get that twisted for 1 minute. You're on the good guy list, even though that you're rough and tough like me, and that's a good thing. That's a good quality. And I just told Rachel, when customers come in and they give you mutual respect and normalcy, and you understand what I'm saying. People come in and are always like, hey, good morning, how can I help you? They're please and thank you. Hey, I appreciate what you do. You give those people back what they give, you know. And if you're the type of person that continues to give back when they're mean and nasty to you, well, good for you too. But I just told her recently, people who want to be assholes to you, give it right back to them. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Ridiculous. I'll give you a scenario. So Rachel was courteous and respectful to a lady yesterday who needed an oil change, which we couldn't just drop what we were doing to get her car in the shop and do it, because we're not set up to be a quick lube. And she's obviously not a regular customer, or she would already know that it's typically drop off for an oil change. And then she's like, oh, you guys do struts? And Rachel's like, yes, we do struts. She's like, if you want to get in and out service, Miss So-and-so, be here 7:30 to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll get you in and out. So Rachel gave her the promise that she will take care of her. And you know what this customer did? Stuck it right up her ass. Rolled up at 10 o'clock and said, oh, hurry up and change my oil, I have to get going. Yeah, you know where that went? Hurry up, get back in your car and keep going. That's what I mean. You take your time, you go out above and beyond or outside your normal for a customer, because we don't normally make oil changes a priority like a quick lube. That's not what we do here. And then she inquired about, you know, her suspension. She knows it needs work. But then she's come back and, oh, hurry up and change some oil when you're 2 hours late for your appointment. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I kind of draw the line in the stand. And it happens a lot to me. People make an appointment, no call, no show. Or show up at, you know, lunchtime and say, oh, well, you know, I had things to do. Well, so do we. And your appointment is no longer valid because we took customers who were actually serious about getting their car fixed. They showed up on time. They got in rotation because that's what it takes. You know, just because you show up hours late doesn't entitle you to me to stop what we're doing, back out cars to accommodate you. We made time for you, and then you blew it. And you know how many people do that? Hundreds a year. We make appointments for Saturday mornings and 0 show up. Hey, I need an appointment for Saturday morning. Hey, I'm on my way. Can you pop a battery in my car? And then call back and say, hey, I can't make it. I'll be in tomorrow morning. And then never show the fuck up. Why waste your breath? Why even call? Go torture somebody else. Ridiculous. Ridiculous this business has become. And Ford Boss Me can back me up. I can imagine the phone calls and conversations if he's answering the phone, which I'm sure is a hard job if he's out there advising and helping with the mechanical and diagnosing and jockeying, which I'm sure he is because he's like me. He's involved. He's involved in all aspects. The conversations that he goes through on a daily basis. Yeah, baby. We're in Philly. We're in Philly. Welcome to my hood, where everybody knows everybody. Welcome to my hood. With those old school Chevys. I finally just got service. So this is just me babbling because YouTube, I'm sure there's people listening out there. This is my time. YouTube, instead of me seeing a shrink and being on medication, I'm on YouTube.